Hi, and welcome to this video. It's called How to Write a Variety of Sentences, and it goes with this accompanying handout entitled How to Write a Variety of Sentences. The purpose of this video is to be a primer to talk to you and show you how to write the 4 basic types of sentences that are in the English language. Knowing how to write the 4 types of sentences will improve your writing, and you're going to be using them on your vocabulary exercises and in other assignments in class. So let's go ahead and take a look at this handout. If you're looking at this video as a review, you're probably going to want to pause it because I'll probably go very quickly through it. The first type of sentence that we're going to talk about and look at is called a simple sentence. The first thing that you want to look at and recognize with a simple sentence is that in order to have a simple sentence, you're going to need to have a subject and a predicate. The subject is who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate tells what it is or its state of being or the action. Okay, so for example, in this sentence right here, it says, I went to the store. Let's underline I once and put an S because that's the subject, and underline went to the store twice and put a P because that's the predicate. Now, a simple sentence that can stand by itself is also called an independent clause. You're going to take your yellow highlighter. Independent clauses are always labeled yellow in our class. Highlight that and go ahead and highlight this sentence right here, yellow. An independent clause is independent because it can stand by itself. So keep in mind throughout the school year, anytime you see in your vocabulary exercises part of a sentence that is yellow, that sentence should have a subject and a predicate and be able to stand by itself. Now, before you learn the second type of sentence, you need to understand what a coordinating conjunction is. So go ahead and get your green highlighter. And these words right here, coordinating conjunctions, are going to be green. So highlight all these words right here, green. The words are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And if you read it down, you can notice it spells out fanboys. That's to help you remember the words. Think of these words sort of like the glue that would hold together, or that you would use to put together 2 independent clauses or 2 yellows. And that's where we come up with the second kind of sentence, which is called a compound sentence. So here's how you make a compound sentence. You're going to take, in the first type, an independent clause, 2 of them, and you're going to link them together with a green coordinating conjunction. When you do that, you're going to also make sure to include a pink comma before the coordinating conjunction and a pink period at the end. Pink is for punctuation. So, for example, if you wrote an actual sentence, you would say, I went to the store and I bought milk. The independent clauses are I went to the store and I bought milk, and the coordinating conjunction linking them is and you put a comma before and a period at the end. Now there's another way to join together 2 independent clauses for a compound sentence, and type 2 is using a semicolon. A semicolon is this punctuation right here that has basically what looks like a period on top of a comma, like that. So all you would need to do is you would have your yellow and a semicolon and a yellow, and then of course a period at the end. So what you have is an independent clause, a semicolon, and another independent clause, and a period. So if you wrote it out in an actual sentence, you would say, I went to the store, semicolon, I bought milk. So basically, the semicolon is being used just like you would use the word and to join them together. Period at the end. Okay, so far you have a basic sentence, an independent clause, simple sentence. I went to the store, or he went to the store, she went to the store. If you wanted to combine two ideas like that, you would say, you would add a coordinating conjunction like and say, I went to the store, comma, and I bought milk. Or you could join it with a semicolon like that. Now, before you learn the third way, or the third type of sentence, you need to understand what a subordinating conjunction is. This is where you're going to use your blue highlighter. So all these words right here in these boxes are going to be blue. So if you want, go ahead and take a minute right now and highlight them all blue so that you know when you use these words right here, these blue are subordinating conjunctions. Let's take a look at how to use them. You use subordinating conjunctions to make the third type of sentence, which is called a complex sentence. And here's how you put it together. You would start with, there are two ways. On type 1, you would start with an independent clause, and then after that you would have a subordinating conjunction, and then you would have a dependent clause followed by the period at the end. So for example, you would say, I remember our sentence before, I went to the store. That's an independent clause. It can stand by itself. But now you're going to add this part after it, after school was over. And then a period at the end. The second way that you can put it together is you can have the subordinate conjunction first, and then the dependent clause, then a comma, and then a yellow independent clause. So this is what it would look like if it was the actual sentence. You would say after, that's our subordinating conjunction, school was over, and then a comma, then our independent, I went to the store, and then a period at the end. Now, let's pause for a moment and look at what's happening here. When you say, I went to the store after school was over, it's the same thing as saying, after school was over, comma, I went to the store. It's just flipped around. So all this is showing you is that you can either flip it and have the blue and the orange at the beginning or at the end with the yellow. The important thing to remember here, though, is these blue items called subordinating conjunctions or subordinate conjunctions, in other words, these words right here, they signal that a dependent clause is about to come. So in other words, we used in this example, we used after school was over. Now, if you take a moment and you cover this up, and you just said after school was over, if you just said after school was over, if you went up to somebody and just said, after school was over, it wouldn't make sense by itself. They would want more information from you. They would ask, okay, well, what happened after school was over? What happened? You would need to add, I went to the store. It doesn't make sense by itself. Because it doesn't make sense by itself, that is why it's called a dependent clause. Because it can't stand alone and it can't make sense by itself, people are going to need more information. So that is why the blue and orange will always need to be hooked up to a yellow in order to finish the thought and make sense. You would never have a blue and an orange just sitting by itself. You need the yellow to finish the thought. Now, the final type, compound complex, is pretty easy. It's just a combination, compound complex, the fourth one, is just a combination of complex sentences and compound sentences. So let's take a look at those. So a type 1 compound complex is going to start off like a complex. It's going to have a subordinating conjunction, a dependent clause, a comma, an independent clause. So notice right now it's pretty much what you just learned, a complex sentence. But now they're going to add on another comma, a coordinating conjunction, an independent clause, and then of course a period. So, for example, take a look at this. After school was over, comma, I went to the store and I bought milk. This is the same concept that we learned earlier where you're saying two independent clauses, I went to the store, I bought milk. You're joining them together with a green coordinating conjunction, but this time you're just adding in front of it a dependent clause saying after school was over. Now, the same principle applies for type 2. If you want, you can flip this around and it would make sense saying it the opposite way. If you said first, I went to the store and I bought milk after school was over. And that's all type 2 is. Type 2 just starts off with a compound sentence, just like you learned before. So this is the part where it would say, I went to the store and I bought milk. But then at the end, it adds the blue subordinating conjunction, the dependent clause, and then the period. So taking a look at how it would look here, you would say, I went to the store, comma, and I bought milk after school was over, and then the period. Okay, so a reminder, the highlighting color codes are independent clauses are yellow, your coordinating conjunctions are green, any punctuation, commas, periods, semicolons are pink, a subordinate conjunction is blue, and dependent clauses, which can't stand by themselves, are orange. So go ahead and practice with these next two sentences right here. Take a look and identify what parts are what. So if you take a look at this, the first part here, the school found a resolution for the problem, that's an independent clause. That could stand by itself. And then I see a coordinating conjunction, the word but, the comma, and then another independent clause. Most of the students did not appreciate it. And then in a comma, and then I see a subordinating conjunction, although, and it helped everyone to graduate on time. And then a period. Okay. Notice that where's the subject and the predicate? The subject in this one is the school. The subject in this one is the students. And then the predicate is right there. Here's the next one. After the two adversaries had spent years playing this cat and mouse game, they were joined by their children, and the fun continued. So notice there's subordinating conjunction there, which means the rest of this is going to be a dependent clause. After the two adversaries had spent years playing this cat and mouse game, and then a comma. Here's an independent clause. They were joined by their children, and a comma. Coordinating conjunction, and then an independent clause. The fun continued, and a period. What's the subject in this sentence? The subject is they. What's the subject in the fun continued? The subject is the fun. Okay, so hopefully that helps to explain the 4 types of sentences. When you do your vocabulary homework, your vocab exercises, and other activities in class, if you're asked to label your sentences, this is what you're going to be doing.